To the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Bryan from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's edition of the Security Squawk podcast. We had Andre with us, but then he got a call from a news station and literally just ran out the door on us. So there's going to be an empty box at the bottom of the screen because he has to do an interview on something going on in Florida. I don't know what, but some cyber attack thingy that the news wants to talk to him about. And we said, hey, that's more important than the show this week. So go do it.
So in honor of him, we'll have the empty spot.
Randy and I will pick up the slack, though. So welcome to the show, everyone. Remember, the fee for the show, pretty simple. We bring you the free content, no annoying ads, none of that stuff. We do turn down ads or offers for sponsors and other people to come on this show and talk about their products or services. We turn those down. We just want to get this information out there to as many people as possible. Start helping people put a plan in place to protect themselves. It all starts with awareness around the problems, around awareness around who and what is being attacked and who's doing the attacking. That's what we talk about on this show. And in return for all of this free information and expert advice, just help us grow the show. Share it out on your social media. If you're watching us on a live stream right now, if you're listening to us on a podcast, you can leave a review, which, Randy was like, hey, we don't have a lot of reviews on what was it? Spotify. So run over to Spotify and give us a 5-star review. Things like that help us out tremendously. And we continue to bring you the goods, which is, would you believe me if I told you this is our 185th episode?
Well, I would definitely believe you because you're not really known to lie. So there you go. Congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So 185 episodes. Somebody was like, I was reading something the other day in a group that I'm in, and they were like, does anybody have any podcasts over 30 episodes? And I was like, oh, we definitely have more than 30. So I went and I looked, and yep, we have 184. This will be 185 today. So we've done one every week. I think maybe we've missed one or two in the last 4 years if we've missed a week, and sometimes we've doubled up to make up for it. So we do it. So we got a comment from Andre. He's watching the show live. At least he's doing that for us. Appreciate it, Andre. We're going to struggle.
He's traveling in the car.
We're going to struggle getting through this content, without you, buddy. So, so let's get into it. We got this whole thing now with cyber criminals, Randy, have figured out if you attack airports or airlines or anything related to such, you're in for a pretty big payday, right? Because travelers don't like to be stranded because of cyber attacks. I think that's what that's what people are learning, and we're going to learn it. We're going to learn more about the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, where an apparent cyber attack has disrupted their internet, their phones, their email, and other systems at that airport for a third day as of yesterday. The Port of Seattle officials are working to investigate the outages and restore full service. What do you think is going on here, Randy?
Well, I mean, so what you mentioned at the beginning, I think, is especially true here. There's going to be a lot of pressure to pay the ransom, if there's a ransom to pay, to get back online quickly, because this kind of stuff, I don't know at the Seattle-Tacoma Airport. See, that's what Andre does a lot of times. He's looking up the details behind the scenes. I'm not sure what their average daily flight, number of people that fly are, but every one of these disruptions, they stack on top of each other. people get pushed back, people get angry, a lot of business can't happen, a lot of disruption and a lot of things. And all of that puts pressure on the airports to pay, to pay the ransom or to find a solution. And you're right. This is a pretty big payday potentially for the criminals when they are able to get something like this.
So they handle about 51 million passengers a year. So roughly about a million a week.
Right.
So
Right.
do the math.
So they're not, they're not a just a little tiny little regional airport.
No, I mean, you got to figure that that's probably a heavily used airport by many Microsoft employees, Amazon employees who all have headquarters up in that area of the world, right?
Right.
So what other impacts is this? We talk about travel, right? We think about passengers traveling for work, traveling on vacations, but this also impacts things like FedEx, UPS. They move goods and things are shipped out of these airports. You got to figure it's a big hub for international type things because they're so close to the Pacific Ocean, and you would imagine if something is flying from the East Coast, it's probably landing somewhere on the West Coast before it heads over the Pacific to refuel and things like that. So these are all things that now cannot move and cannot happen as a result of this cyber attack. So where do you think this is going to go, buddy? Do you think they're going to end up paying a ransom to get back up on their feet? And
I'm not sure, but reading the article, it looks like they're doing boarding passes by hand. So they're actually what makes an official handwritten boarding pass? How do you know that it's legit and not just some average bloke who's getting onto your plane, that paid to go to Austin was like, hey, I want to go to Florida instead of Austin, and just has a little handwritten boarding pass. How do you know, man? So it has, excuse me, a lot of potential for causing a lot of confusion. Yeah, we don't know if they're going to pay the ransom or not, but I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on them to do so. And this kind of comes on the heels of all that stuff with CrowdStrike just a month or two ago. I guess it was about 2 months ago, where that affected a lot of airlines as well.
Well, certainly, we'll learn more here in the coming days, but we're going to learn a lot of things, right? That we analyze, like how do they handle the situation in the immediate days after the attack. Gives us a pretty good indication of how well prepared they were for these types of things. On top of that, we're going to see the things that you mentioned. What kind of backup processes did they have in place, and how can they continue to allow passengers to get on planes and fly in the midst of not having the systems that help them do that, right? I fly through a lot of airports. If this happened 20 years ago, I'd say, probably not too big of a deal. But today, these employees are so reliant on these computers to do what they do. Like, I don't think they're trained another way.
Right.
So you're literally, if you don't train on this stuff, which I would venture to say, either they've been through something like a CrowdStrike thing, right? Like they've already been through it, so they know what to do. So that helps, but you're going to be learning on the fly. And that's really ugly for a lot of people. So.
Exactly.
Anything else? I mean, we don't know a lot. It's early, tight-lipped as normal. People are having trouble traveling and navigating the havoc that has ensued as a result of this. Lots of lines, lots of delays, just not fun, like not stuff you want to be experiencing when you travel. I tend to believe that this is it's just a recipe for them needing to have to pay, in my opinion. So.
Right. For sure. And
so now
say the last thing, real quick, just a little kind of a joke. Didn't we say that Southwest missed the whole CrowdStrike thing because they were like on Windows XP or something like that?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So let's talk about Flint, Michigan, another city that just seems to be like, if it's not one thing, it's another thing with this city. I mean, it's like I can't recall a city that has had more bad luck in the last 50 years than Flint, Michigan, in my opinion. I think they had the water incident not too long ago. And now here we are with another, critical infrastructure, city in the United States. They are dealing with a significant network outage, and they're kind of touting this network redesign following their cyber attack. And you and I looked at this article and we're like, oh, this whole thing where we saw it in Columbus, Ohio, and now we're seeing it here, where these city officials try to spin. I guess it is election season's coming, so I guess we have to spin things as quickly as we can. Maybe that's what's behind this, Randy. But I see a lot of politicians trying to spin cyber attacks lately into something positive, and unfortunately, dudes like us look at each other and go, "Oh my God!" They just need to shut up because they don't really even know what they're talking about right now, and now they sound like an idiot to everybody who does know what is being said. And I called the mayor of Columbus out for that, right? And he was coming out and he was like, oh, most of the data they got was encrypted, so it's not that big of a deal. And then literally 2 days after he did that, I can't remember what the data was. Oh, it was criminal cases from the prosecutor's office were released on the dark web. So now we know who criminals are, who informants are, who undercover policemen are. The data is not a big deal. It's all encrypted.
So it exactly, and this one just, man, I mean, I want to be positive and all that, but I will tell you, there's really not a lot of recourse when a politician says something, and later it's found out to be, not true. Like, we kind of almost expect that from politicians. But think about it this way. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., guess what that'll be? That'll be about exactly 2 weeks since the attack first happened. And so in the course of 2 weeks, and then if you look just 2 days ago, or no, this was yesterday. So yesterday they said their biggest payment processor is still offline. And then now today they're saying, oh, we have a new upgraded network. So we've gone from the first inkling of an attack to dealing with the attack, mitigating the attack, redesigning the whole network. And less than 2 weeks later, we've rolled out the newfangled, impenetrable fortress network. It just doesn't add up, man. I'm sorry. It doesn't add up. Like, if that would have happened a year ago tomorrow, I would buy it. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean, number one is, when you talk like that, you sound ridiculous. Like, not you, but when you say we put up this impenetrable force to help with the cyber attack, it's not really, you don't want to be touting one solution as the fortress that's going to prevent your next cyber attack. The reality of it is, Flint people, if they're already in the network, sticking this firewall in probably isn't going to do much. If you didn't fully eradicate them out of wherever they're at, and you just stuck these firewalls in place, they're probably still in there, and the firewall isn't going to do a whole lot for you. Maybe block some things, maybe stop some things from them being able to do certain things. It might, but if they're in there, it's not going to do what they're advertising that it does, right? And that's number one.
Right.
Number two is these are things that you don't do knee-jerk style. And this is knee-jerk style to the T. I mean, you're like, oh crap, we got hacked, we got to do something, and you're putting in firewalls. No, you got to plan this stuff out. You should probably be evaluating different firewalls and what works best for you, not find out what the next town over is using or what the state's using. I don't know how they make decisions, but this isn't how you do it. You should be planning this stuff out. You should be thinking about it. Now they're sticking things in, and they're going to be relying on this vendor for a while until they A, wrap their head and get their own internal knowledge around running it, and B, how does this impact their overall like disaster recovery strategy and things like that. This is a big piece of equipment that you're putting in place that impacts a lot of those things. And how are you adjusting and making this change management happen that needs to happen in this short period of time under the gun like this? It doesn't.
Right.
It's like trying to fix your car while it's flying down the highway at 75 miles an hour. It's probably not a good idea.
Right. Or if you took your car in and they said like 5 minutes later you needed a new engine, you'd probably want to get a second opinion on that. One of our this is in Flint, Michigan.
Flint, Michigan.
And they have had a long string of negative things happen with them relating to the government and water and all that jazz. But I don't know, man. This whole thing I might be wrong. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but it just seems like they're just trying to say something that people want to hear. Now, They did say that their new redesigned network, I'm using air quotes loosely, the new redesigned network included a next-gen firewall. Can you even get previous gen firewalls anymore? I mean, the whole thing I don't know, man. It just doesn't sit right with me. So we'll see. But it seems like we're going to see them have ongoing issues months down the road until they really get behind how they got in and make sure that they've mitigated that and that they have, now are making sure they can't get in. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I think, like I said, when we introduced the topic, it is election season. I don't think many politicians want their constituents going into the voting booth with the memory of a cyber attack on their city fresh in their minds, right? So they're trying to get ahead of this as quickly as they can. We'll see. I mean, there's a very, very good chance that we could be talking about the second attack on Flint, Michigan, because somebody's been sold a false sense of security by some security vendor out there. That's basically what we're saying.
Yep.
Happens all the time, right, Randy?
It does. And they believe in the system that they have, but usually the system that they have, and I would say 9 times out of 10, only covers a portion of what should be covered, and it only covers only does a portion of what should be done. So we'll see.
Yeah, 100%. So moving on to our final topic of the day, you and I have to run to a meeting after this together. So it's going to be a quick one today. And this one, interesting. I guess we can file this one under very interesting, but this American Radio Relay League. I saw this over the weekend. It came across my phone when I took a peek at it. It was like, they paid a staggering $1 million ransom payment following a cyber attack that jeopardized their operations. I'm like, where does something like this have $1 million laying around? I looked into them a little bit. They've been around since 1934, but it impacts and highlights what these financial impacts against these organizations like nonprofits, and it really begs the question: Is this the new target? Right? Like, think about it. If you're, and this is what I worry about, Randy, and this would suck if this happens, but like, maybe like I know how like my kids like after like their sports, right? How those organizations run their organizations, right? Typically they're they've bought into some like NBC runs like a sports engine, right? Platform that you can your organization. You can, buy a subscription and basically run your sports organization, collect payments, manage teams, set schedules, all that stuff, right? It's kind of like, there's Team Snap, there's different ones out there. And I just think about, like, if those platforms were hacked and they were down and not available, kids wouldn't know where to go for games. It would bring youth sports to almost a grinding halt. And I think these organizations have gone all in on these types of things, right? And I looked at this and I was like, man, if they can get attacked, my kids' sports could get attacked, or my buddy's radio controlled airplane club. I mean, just think about all the different, like, nonprofits that are out there that might, collect money. I mean, I'm part of, like, I'm an avid upland bird hunter, right? And I'm part of clubs that collect significant fees for stuff that we do to pay for things that we do. So there's a lot of things like that out there, like this American Radio Relay League that exists, that money flows through them, and people rely on the services. And if they're not there, it kind of sucks. And that's what this organization faced, and had to pay $1 million to get back up and running.
Yeah, so it looks like the insurance. Here's the thing that I think about this attack. A couple things that really stand out. One is the $1 million. Two, it looks like the attackers knew that they had insurance. Mm-hmm. So my guess is they compromised an email account somehow, and then they were able to read through the emails to say, oh, in July they purchased a $20 million, cyber insurance policy or whatever. So we know we can get money out of them. And then, they pushed really hard for a higher price. The $1 million was actually negotiated down to. So they probably started at the full amount of the insurance. Maybe the insurance, negotiators told, the criminal organization, hey, most we can do is $1 million. So, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But anyway, that's really interesting here. And I kind of thought that's where you were going to go there for a little bit about the youth sports, because how many of us clear out all of our old emails from our email boxes? Most people don't until they run out of space, right? And the amount of information, if I was a criminal and I got access to an email box, could plug that into Chat GPT, bad GPT, trained to be evil, and then said, hey, what kind of info in here could I use to manipulate these guys into paying me? You know what I mean? It could have been something like that. It could have been as simple as, 20 emails down, there was the insurance company saying you're now covered and have $20 million in ransomware, coverage. But this is a really high dollar amount, and this is going to have an impact.
Is it though? Because I just looked it up. American Radio Relay League brings in $14.2 million a year.
Million?
$14.2 million a year is what they bring in.
1/14 of their gross rev. So almost a month of gross rev. Could a regular business handle a month without gross rev? I don't think so.
No. It's no good. I mean, they're a nonprofit, so none of that is like, but they have 158,000 members. But it just goes to show you, like, these organizations are out there, right? Mm-hmm. There's lots of them, that exist, that people have hobbies, they do things, and they get together, they raise money and they do things with that money, right? They run events, they give it away to charity, right? It's all kinds of different things happen with all these different community-based organizations and groups. And these are like, I think what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, a lot of these groups walk around with their head in the sand thinking that nobody would ever attack them. Like, why would somebody attack us? We do good in the world.
Right.
Cyber criminals don't give a shit.
No, they don't.
Like, they look at, you make $14 million a year. We want some of that. You don't do network security well. Because that's what the little ransom note says. You suck at security. We broke in. Ha, ha, ha. Now pay us.
I have no idea where that's coming from.
Oh, you got hacked? So that's interesting. We'll update everybody. We'll update everybody on this whole Seattle issue. And then also what is going on with the Flint people. We got to figure out where that goes, because I don't know. I got a bad feeling that that's going to end up being another follow-on attack, because when we see things handled the way this goes, I don't think it goes well for Flint.
Right.
And yep, paying the ransom's a thing, guys. Like we see the comments. Andre's dropping comments about paying the ransom. People still pay the ransom, and that's the reality. And until we get better with cybersecurity and cyber resilience, being able to get back up after you get attacked, I think that's where a lot of companies are going to fail. Is like, maybe there's a lot of prevention in place right now, but when that prevention fails, we see companies really, really struggle to get back on their feet. And because of that, the ransom payment will continue to be an option for companies when it comes to disaster recovery.
Yep, for sure.
All right, that's it. We got to run. Thanks everyone for the support. Remember, share the show. And we'll see everybody next week with Andre. So take care. See you.
Bye, everybody.